African Americans are really relocating to Kenya massively, meaning in large numbers. I am a Kenyan, I reside in Kenya. And by the way, let me tell you one thing. For the last 3 weeks, I've handled more than 7 African Americans. Okay, what do I mean by handling? Like, I have met several of them. They have been watching my videos. They're like, hey, you know what, Joseph, you seem to understand, the areas of investment in Kenya and what have you. And guess what? They told me, hey, I would like to meet you. I would like to meet you. Like, you know, and of course, I'm talking about Americans. I have not mentioned about the guys from the Europe. They are flocking in here. And I've been compelled to make this video and be like, what's going on? What's going on? They are relocating into Kenya. And by the way, I'm making this video slightly few days when the UN said that we're going to relocate some part, a large part of its headquarter services from the New York to Nairobi. And it's happening, not that it is, no, it's happening right now. So what's going on? What are the opportunities? What might be the reasons? And I've tried to go through all the guys that I've met who are African Americans, and they've actually come up with some things that they're saying. And that's why I've divided these things, two reasons, or rather these reasons into two factions. We have the social reasons and we have the financial reasons. And if you're watching me and you're an African American, this is good, Joseph. I make videos as far as the investments opportunities are concerned and financial literacy. So, I don't mind you hitting that like button, make sure that you subscribe so that every day you'll be notified whenever I upload a new good video. Anyway, let's go to the business now. Here, social reasons. Why are they migrating? Find out there. Number one, I realized most of them will talk about the ratio related things that are happening in the US. This topic doesn't need any introduction, Gonna hear a lot of racial slurs or something like that. I ain't gonna talk much about that. You know what that means. They feel good when they come here, they just see everybody looks like them and they're okay. You get what I'm saying? So they just feel comfortable. Let me not introduce that much. Let's go to the second point, sense of belonging. They want to feel the sense of belonging. I was watching one, I really hope I can remember the YouTuber. She was talking about a certain musician who is an American. She's here in Kenya. She bought couple of hundreds of acres of land here in Kenya. She's farming. She's living somewhere. She said that she walks in and finds people who looks like her, and she doesn't even. She's okay. She's blending in. Everything is good, And that's most of them want to feel that sense of belonging, whereby you don't feel like you're a second-class citizen. Everyone almost looks like you. The difference is when you open your mouth to feel, you sound American or something like that. Okay. Other thing is that blending in is easy. Blending in here in the sense that this one can help me introduce another one. When you come to Kenya, Kenya is a literate country. By the way, we're one of the highest literate country in Africa. You find we speak English very well because English is mandatory in our syllabus. Everyone studies English. So when you come here, it is actually easier to communicate with people. By the way, even if you're walking into the market, those common people, even in our country, you find most of them communicate in English. Of course, they may not talk as you, but of course, you guys, you can communicate. So they find it easier to come here because of the language. Well, I don't know, you can judge my English on the comment section. The point is, in Kenya, you find that people are communicating in English. So blending in is not that, we ain't gonna have what we call the language barrier or something like that, okay? Now, another thing is that, of course, the mixture of modern and kind of African setup. Most of them are saying that, you see, for example, if you go to the Nairobi vibes gives you two things at the same time. If you want to live in a modern way, you want to get the modern things, the best places to hang around, the clubs to vibe and what have you, you're going to have that. It is there. And then if you want to experience the African setup, whereby you African food and something like that, it's kind of a mixture of those two things at the same time. Most of them, they were telling me that. And it's true, if you zoom into, you're going to find people who are very, very, how can I say it, very liberal. Others are very conserved. So you find like you can have, it depends, If you want to feel more modern, then you can. For example, if you come to Nairobi, for instance, it's the only city on earth, can verify that has a national park. I didn't say a game reserve, not where the animals are being caged somewhere. No, a free national park by nature, next to a city. Literally, you can even live some in apartments and you're just watching the lions and zebras and what have you. True, if you go live in a place called Syokimau, you can be able to experience that. Or maybe you can just have the hustles and bustles of the city here and there. Maybe say you're living in some leafy suburbs like Kilimani and what have you. And then all of a sudden you 5-10 minutes, okay, give it because of traffic anyway. 20 or 40 minutes you're in the, safaris and you're enjoying yourself. Or you can catch yourself a flight, 45 minutes, you're in the coastal region where you have a whole beach by yourself. Anyway, another thing is that you find Africa is made up of, especially Kenya is made up of very young population. Very young people. And of course, that means future. And I think, by the way, that's the reason why if you, study the news of Kenya for the last, I don't know, couple of days, should I say an year, there was some these issues of Gen Z protest and what have you. They are very young people. And of course, young people are the future of the nation. So they feel they're kind of, the nation is not going good. And I believe protests are all over the place. If you go to, we had a yellow vest protest in France. Recently, we had some LA protest and what, I mean, it's people are praising and such happens in a normal setup, isn't it? Okay, that actually tells you we have democracy in Kenya. You can just do all those things. Anyway, those are social reasons why most of them are migrating. And a lot of things can actually be deduced from these particular social reasons. And what about the financial reasons? Because when they're migrating, of course, I saw them being asked, hey, are you able to survive in Kenya in terms of how is the lifestyle there and what have you? First of all, most of them are saying affordability. See, in Kenya, you can get, for example, if you go to Kilimani, you can buy yourself an apartment of 2 bedroom at around 10 million. 10 million is like 80,000 US dollars, 80,000 ish or 7,800 around there. You can get yourself a very nice 2 bedroom in Kilimani. Probably that apartment will go for almost $1 million. Almost $1 million. If you go to the New York, almost, or even more than that. But they are getting that for a couple of thousands of dollars. So affordability. They're saying that, hey, you know what? With my money, I'm able to actually go ahead and be able to enjoy the luxury I've been admiring in the US, and I can have it in Kenya. For example, I had one client who was telling me, hey, you know what, Joseph, I came to this place with only 250,000 US dollars. That could even buy me a house in the US. I repeat my point. He told me, hey, Joseph, when I was migrating here, I had in my savings 250,000 US dollars. And guess what? That couldn't even buy me a house. Well, I don't know, maybe for some places you can buy, I don't know much about that. But here in Kenya, I bought myself an apartment, 2 bedroom. Around 10 million, that's approximately 80 something thousand dollars. He was left with the whole chunk. He has a home, and actually he told me, hey, you know what, if I knew I could have actually bought myself a land and built myself a home. Because with 10 million, honestly, and of course he gravitates towards a little bit interior place. With 10 million, you get yourself a whole lake of land at 2 million. With that, you have 8 million for you to build yourself a very nice home. You have yourself some chickens there, extended garden. My friend, affordability. Another thing is that growth opportunities. Sure, in Kenya, we have a lot of growth opportunities. Why? Honestly speaking, we aren't like Americans. Of course, they are ahead of us in terms of, say, infrastructure and most of things anyway. But see, what happens is if you go to a place where there are growth opportunities, for example, if you come here, we have a lot of opportunities in IT, we have a lot of opportunities, say, in transport, we have a lot of opportunities in social health. That is, for example, the mental health. If you're a psychologist, if you're a psychiatrist, there are some of the areas that have not been exploited in this particular part of the world. Or should I say African continent? By the way, Africa is not a country, it's a continent. It's made up of 54 countries, and Kenya is one of them, and it's the eastern part of the Africa. Now, expensive USA lifestyle. I've just used an example. With your 250,000, you even be able to buy yourself a house. And by the way, talk of food. Affordability of food, and guess what? The food that we are talking about is about organic food. In Kenya, we don't have the stress of saying, "Hi," you don't walking into a supermarket or convenience or whatever you guys call it in your place, and you have, I don't know, this one is labeled as organic and the other one is no. We don't have that thing. Everything here is organic. It's just organic. Fresh fruit. One guy was telling me, hey, Joseph, you know what? I tasted your pineapple. Here I was shocked. So sweet. Another guy was asking me, hey, you know, I was shocked. I bought myself some eggs and I was about to put them in a fridge. You know, that was so strange for me, by the way. I was going to, okay, he was telling me that I went to a supermarket. We call them here supermarket. You know, I went to a supermarket to buy myself some eggs and I was shocked. I didn't find eggs in the fridge. I was like, eggs in a fridge? What do you mean eggs in a fridge? But we keep them eggs in the fridge in the US. I was like, no, we don't keep eggs in the fridge here. I mean, just all over the place. I mean, you can just, that was a culture shock for him. As much as it was for me, you know, to hear that you keep eggs in a fridge. Anyway, I'm not saying that keeping eggs is weird, but To me, it's weird anyway. Just like it's weird to you, we don't keep ours in the fridge. Anyway, and then you find that eggs is so tasty because it's kind of authentic, original. I knew this by him telling me that your pineapple is so sweet, your fruits are so fresh, and what have you. I was like, well, I didn't know that. I think I have something now to appreciate. Yeah, absolutely. The lifestyle here is a bit affordable, but you may have a little bit of rough time when you know, how can I say this? When you're new here. That's why I say it is good when you have somebody who is hand holding you, who is showing you the way. Because, you tend to buy a lot of things in the supermarkets and some places, and of course you get a lot of, but if you can just go to the, downtown market, you get that thing in a very affordable way, okay? But anyway, that happens for anyone who goes to a foreign land because you don't know the nitty-gritties. That's why I always tell, find somebody, who is reliable, of course, who can, once here, you can be able to touch tabs and walk some places and find out some things and something like, I don't know whether I'm making sense. Anyway, whatever. And by the way, in case you need my services, you want to shoot me a call or something, that happens to be my number. And by the way, this 0, you can substitute it to 2 + 254. Then you have yourself my number. Anyway, strength of the dollar against the Kenyan shilling. If you come with $1 from the US, you have around 129 Kenyan shilling. Well, it depends with when you're watching this video. You might be watching this video in 2070, and maybe the dollar and the shilling will be at par. Anyway, as of now, that is 2025 July. You find that the dollar is around 129 of Kenyan shilling. You have 1 unit of dollar, you got yourself 129 units of Kenyan shilling. Of course, that actually gives you a little bit of purchasing power, because the dollar is a bit, and after all, as we speak right now, the dollar is the, global reserve currency that you use there. So they usually find it a bit of, favoring them when you come here with your dollar. And it's true, if you come here in Kenya, and by the way, most of them who migrating here back in Kenya, they still retain their job because they're working remotely. So they're still being paid by dollars. So that's quite a good advantage. Oh, I didn't touch something about renting. Say you don't want to buy a home, you want to rent. It's still affordable. For example, if you go rent yourself a house worth, say, 60,000 Kenyan shilling or 70,000 Kenyan shilling, you're living in Kilimani, Kileleshwa, in a very good leafy suburbs, in a flat or apartment. We call them apartments. If you go to Britain, they call them flat. We call them apartments here, or flat, whatever can work. Now, the point here is that, we were colonized by Britain, influenced by the US. So if you say flat or apartment, we are okay. Now, what happens is that with 70,000 Kenyan shilling, that's like $550 to $600 in a month. You have yourself that place that you admire to live. Okay, can you just picture out that apartment in New York? You know how it looks like, that apartment that you pay probably 5,000 US dollars or 6,000 in a month. That's what you're paying for around $550 here in Kenya, or 600. Okay, and if you're an extreme spender, if you dare spend $1,000 in a month, oh my goodness, you might even find you living in State House. Anyway, just kidding. Now, State House is the equivalent of your White House. Now, another thing here is that you find that there is a bulging of the middle incomers. We have a lot of people now are becoming middle incomers here in Kenya. People who now we say, hey, they aren't wealthy and they're not poor, they're somewhere, that number is growing bigger and bigger and bigger. Because honestly, if you ask me, if you just allow yourself to think a little bit, the future of the world lies on the global south. That's for sure. The Asia and the Africa. Right now, we're in the century of Asia. Asia is taking over a lot of things. I can't lie about that. Still, America and the Europe, they are kings. They are great people, But honestly speaking, you find that the odds are now being stacked against them. That's a reality and that's a fact. I'm not gonna go there anyway. But you get what I'm trying to say. Now, if you can be able to tap these opportunities and migrate, and I always tell people, first catch a flight, come here, check out all the things. You can, come here and live in a Airbnb. For God's sake, we have Airbnb here. We still have Uber. So you can hang around, let's say for a week. You can call it a vacation as you study and find out where you can be able to live. Yeah, you can tap some opportunities here. That's what I would advise you. And in case you're here and you don't even know where to start and how to do the things, and yeah, that's my number right there. You can shoot me a text. By the way, this is my WhatsApp number. You can shoot me a text there. Anyway, I can answer you some few questions. Hey, you can do this, go there, go do. One, two. Anyway, this is Good Joseph. In case you need my services, that's my number. Don't forget to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment on the comment section. See you the next one.